It doesn't matter how good you are, it doesn't matter how hard you practice. If you don't have confidence that you can go out to accomplish something, and you think, I don't think I can do it, you're not going to do it. I have played against countless players that I know from a physical standpoint were better than I was, but they didn't believe that they could beat me. And because of that, they lost. So it's one of these things that, it takes time, but obviously your belief and your confidence has to kind of go hand in hand with the amount of work and hard work that you put in. Obviously you can't necessarily go out there and say, hey, I believe I can go out and beat Novak Djokovic, but you only play tennis 1 hour a day, or 1 hour per week. Well, they don't really match. But if you're going out there and saying, hey, I want to go out and play MCTC in July and do really, really well and put in the time and effort, then I got to put in the training and the work too. So, with Kei, for example, when I first met him for the first time, this was before we even started coaching, I recall a conversation that we had in Japan, and he was talking about how great Roger Federer was. Which is fine. I think we all agree that Roger's one of the greatest champions that we've had in tennis, in the sport of tennis. But he was going off about how great he is, how fluid he is, the great shots that he hits, and I just kind of letting him go off, and I was kind of like, let me ask you a question. Have you ever beaten Roger Federer? He goes, no. I said, do you want to know why you haven't beaten Roger Federer? He goes, well, yeah, tell me why. He goes, well, if you put him up on this pedestal and you're thinking, wow, this guy's so good and he's so great, and his serve's so good, his forehand, his backhand, his volleys are so good. If you have this mentality going into a match, you really think you're going to beat him? He goes, oh, I didn't think about that. I said, you better start changing that mentality, because if you don't change that mentality, you will never beat him. And I said, you need to. I said, you can have that maybe in the back of your mind, realizing what a great champion he is. But when you're out on the court, you can't be thinking about that stuff. You got to be thinking about, what you need to do in your game, how to be able to go out there and play. But you can't be thinking, oh wow, it's Roger Federer, it's Roger Federer, it's Roger Federer. Tongue twister. You can't do that. And it was interesting because the next time we played him, he beat him. I had some press people come up to me and they were saying, we remember that conversation you had with Kei, and saying, you can't have this mentality, and that's kind of the belief. Every player that's gotten to be #1 in the world has had to go through that process of being able to say, hey, I believe I can be #1, or I believe I can beat the best players in the world. Because if you don't believe it, you're not going to be able to do it. And life is the same way. Do you believe you can go and accomplish something? Do you believe that, different things that are happening in your life? You have to believe, you have to have confidence. So when you think about it, at the end of the day, what's the worst that can happen? You go out there, you try your best, so maybe you lose. So you go back, you work hard, you go out and try again. But at least go out there with the belief and confidence that you can do it. All the people that are the most successful, have they been most successful because they accomplished what they wanted the very first time? No. They failed a lot of the times, but they kept working at it. And one day they believed that they could do it, and a lot of times they did it.